I'm Joanna Small, Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, February 18th. This is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable incidents your Lynnwood police officers responded to over this past week or so. Do you recognize this woman? She's the suspect in a reckless burning incident in which she lit a garbage can on fire in a business complex at 196th Street Southwest and Highway 99 in late January. Two witnesses then spotted her board a Swift bus that was headed to the Aurora Park and Ride. They described her as about 23 years old, approximately 5'4", with dark black hair and wearing a flannel black and beige shirt and black scarf. The images below were just provided by Community Transit. If you believe you know who she is, please contact Detective Riorda at the number on your screen. On February 15th, officers were called to the 17300 block of 34th Place West for reports of a collision, and when they arrived, they found a car crashed into a garage door. They discovered a man crouched on the other side of the fence. He told officers he'd received an alarming text from his father, so he rushed home and crashed in the process. The driver had a warrant for having a suspended driver's license and was supposed to have an ignition interlock device installed on his vehicle, but he did not. Officers also determined he was under the influence and arrested him for DUI, his warrant, and the ignition interlock violation. They also discovered personal cards, an ID, and a large check for another individual in the suspect's wallet. That person was listed as the victim of a recent robbery in which this suspect was arrested. So more charges are pending the outcome of speaking with that victim. On February 11th, officers were called to Kohl's for a shoplift, which turned into a domestic violence arrest. Loss prevention employees described a man and woman stealing about $1,000 worth of merchandise. When confronted outside the store, the male suspect threw the clothes and ran, but was quickly caught and arrested by officers. They learned he had an active arrest warrant out of King County for a domestic violence court order violation. They also discovered he had an active no-contact order in place, with the protected person being the other theft suspect. She was cited for the theft, and he was arrested for theft, his domestic violence warrant, obstruction of law enforcement for fleeing, and his no-contact order violation. 6 grams of methamphetamine were also removed from his person. On Valentine's Day, officers were dispatched to reports of a hit-and-run injury collision at 52nd Avenue West and 188th Street Southwest. They found a Chevy Cruze with significant front-end damage. The driver was complaining of knee pain after hitting it on the dashboard. She said she had a green light westbound 188th at 52nd when suddenly she collided with another vehicle, which then took off. Witnesses described the other vehicle, a red Ford Focus, and the direction it went, and officers were able to locate it. A distraught woman standing nearby claimed to have been the passenger. She was transported to the hospital for injuries, where officers learned she had been involved in a very similar hit-and-run incident in Marysville over the summer, where she again claimed to be the passenger. In both these cases, she said her boyfriend was driving, but the driver was never located. She had keys to the vehicle on her person and did appear to be intoxicated. At this time, though, no witnesses can identify the driver, and we are still investigating. On February 13th, a Lynnwood police officer attempted to stop a vehicle for traffic violations. The driver pulled into a driveway, and both he and the passenger jumped out and ran, hopping over fences to try to escape the police. Officers began combing backyards in the area and recovered a Smith & Wesson handgun in one of the yards, where the homeowner said he believes he heard the fleeing suspects. The gun is registered to a Sumner resident who is deceased. Officers did not locate the suspects, but did impound the vehicle. Once a search warrant is secured, they will be able to see if any evidence inside it will help identify who the suspects involved in this incident are. This next call is an example of something we get asked to do frequently, but our role in response has changed since new Washington state laws were enacted in July. On February 16th, officers were called to assist a designated crisis responder who needed to make contact with an individual whose family was concerned for his mental well-being and wanted him to enter drug and mental health treatment. The DCR requested a police escort for fear the subject may become combative. Officers went, but this is a tricky situation because we do not have a legal reason to be there and cannot use physical force to compel someone to go to the hospital. Even something as seemingly benign as putting our hands on someone's shoulders when there is no probable cause to do so, we now have to assess whether to respond to these calls on a case-by-case basis. In this case, the subject immediately said he was unwilling to leave his house or cooperate with the county social worker, so we did leave the area. And finally, some good news to end the week. Thanks to some of our very dedicated Citizens Patrol volunteers, some of the areas hardest hit by graffiti have now been cleaned up. It's important to get tagged areas painted over quickly to discourage more criminal activity, especially if the tagging does seem gang-related. We appreciate them donating their time to help keep our community safe and beautiful. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.